Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather. So they just issued an enhanced risk about 46 minutes ago. Spots of Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, and this light risk from Texas to Alabama. So I had a feeling that they might issue this because the HER was showing some insane stuff near Oklahoma City today. So let's see what they have. There's this marginal risk goes literally all the way from Wyoming to South Carolina, and there's this marginal risk in Florida too, and parts of Texas, and there's this slight risk there, and also this small one in Colorado. There were some tornadoes yesterday there, very crazy, and the enhanced risk in Oklahoma, including Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So there's many for the small tornado threat in Oklahoma, like small, I mean the land area, like, but the tornado threat itself is kind of increasing, like 10%, and this 5% as well. So that small 10% and the 5% and the 2% goes all the way from Texas to Alabama. The 2% and that 10% in Oklahoma should be watched closely this afternoon with those supercells. It's not hatched, it's just 10%, but we gotta watch closely. I'll show you in a minute why. And then there's this 2% in Colorado into Wyoming, so be careful, some spots there possibly. So there's this wind threat, 15% in the slight risk and 5% in all the areas. And then there's hail that is hatched and 30%. So that's the base of the enhanced risk, and the 10% tornado threat is contributing to that as well. So there's like, especially in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, more spots there, some very large hail possible, and some like above 2 inches, like more than 2 inches possible into Texas as well. And also this small hatched area is spots of Colorado, so be careful. And the 15% goes all the way to Alabama, and the 5% in Florida. So like scared severe thunderstorms are expected across parts of the southern plains to the southeast today. Damaging winds, large and a few tornadoes are possible, particularly across southern plains, including Oklahoma. Severe storms also expected in areas including Colorado front ranges, southern high plains. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. The HER here shows like, especially the 12Z, it showed these massive supercells firing in Oklahoma later in the afternoon and evening, and taking them right into Oklahoma City later in the evening. So that's what caught the attention many meteorologists there. And then the HER keeps the supercells move through Oklahoma City and just south of it later, by like later in the evening. And then it does have some storms in western Texas into Mexico, so be careful near Midlands, some more storms. Those storms right now, there's already rain in Oklahoma and storms there. They will continue east, as far east as Alabama, those storms, so be careful, some damaging winds there too. But these storms that the HER showed, like the 12 in Oklahoma, we need to watch that closely. There's like this cape, and the HER is showing like all the way to 5,000 joules per kilogram cape in Oklahoma today, most of central Oklahoma. So if those supercells fire in this environment, they will go big. But today can be a crazy day or a bust, depends on if they fire or not and manage to sustain themselves. Because if they sustain themselves in this environment with all that instability and moisture, you can see here the dew points like way in the 70s spots of Oklahoma, especially just east of Oklahoma City, like 72 to 75 dew points. So a lot of cape and moisture there, so a very unstable environment. So if you are there, just stay alert in case those storms do happen. Please be careful. The 16Z HER does show the storms to central Oklahoma too, like you can see just west of Oklahoma City. It showed an intense supercell there, and more through southern Kansas into Arkansas too. But this one is to be watched closely. The potential in central Oklahoma, and also shows stuff spots of Alabama, Mississippi too. So be careful those areas. There's this significant tornado parameter does show special like later this afternoon. 23Z shows spots of Oklahoma there, higher across western Oklahoma, spots of Arkansas, but the show in the evening later spreads out more through Oklahoma City and more spots of Oklahoma, especially those central western areas. Some very high parameters, so please be mindful there today, because later in the evening it shows like some very high parameters, very dangerously close to Oklahoma City. So please be careful in those areas and have ways to receive warnings and like have a shelter, like a place to go to in case of a tornado. This is not this is not an outbreak, but it's a dangerous day to watch closely. So just be aware, because it's always good to be careful, and later in the night it dies down. So be careful, and there's like let's see if there's something else here. And also, like especially in the late afternoon and evening in those areas, there can be some higher shear in a few spots of Oklahoma too. So that cape plus this shear and the moisture might make some dangerous territories. So just be aware. It's not anything too crazy, but it might be dangerous. So please be careful and stay safe. Now for day 2, for Sunday, there's another enhanced risk already for Sunday. Spots of Texas into Oklahoma, once again including Oklahoma City and Wichita Falls, Norman, and more areas in northern Texas and Oklahoma. There's this slight risk from Texas to Alabama again, and this marginal. So the tornado threat is just 2% tomorrow for now in those areas, so be careful, tornado or two. But wind and hail is again the main thing, like does show 30% hatched for wind tomorrow, so some hurricane force winds possible in a few areas, and like hatched part of the 30%, there's another part not hatched, but you get the idea. Please stay safe. There's a 15% going all the way to Alabama once again. Hail, apparently it's not 30%, but it is hatched, so still some very large hail possible. Stay safe. Severe storms expected Sunday afternoon and evening across parts southern central plains. Damaging winds, large hail will be the primary threats. Areas of wind damage and hail also expected parts of the Ozarks, Tennessee Valley. So be careful. For Monday, still this light risk across Texas and far southern Oklahoma and far northwestern Louisiana, and this marginal risk from Texas to South Carolina. So be careful too, 15 and 5%. So a severe weather threat is expected on Monday across parts southern plains with large hail and wind damage primary threats. Marginal severe storms will also be possible outside the slight risk from the southern plains into the southeast. So be careful Monday too. And later it's still quiet. So be careful in those areas. Still an elevated chance of wildfires near the southwest from Arizona to New Mexico, Texas, even Utah and to Colorado. So be careful. Still across Texas to Arizona, New Mexico for Sunday. So be careful in those areas, and still like flash flooding be a very big concern. Still that slight risk today across the Ozarks, especially like into Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and Arkansas, into Tennessee and northern Mississippi. And this marginal risk goes all the way from Colorado to Georgia. This other marginal risk further north. Day 2 is a moderate risk Sunday across Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri and Arkansas. So please be careful for tomorrow. Some flooding possible. So stay safe. Don't drive through floods. Turn around. Don't drown. And please be careful. Especially like the ground's more saturated and everything. There's day 3 still a slight risk from Texas to Tennessee. Day 4 a marginal from Texas to the West Virginia. Day 5 a marginal in parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, and all the way to Mississippi. There's another marginal on the East Coast as well. So be careful. Those areas just for like today and Sunday shows close to 5 inches, alright, spots of Oklahoma and Arkansas. So some very heavy rains, alright, in the next 48 hours. please be careful. In the next 7 days shows a new trend for Texas, like close to 7 inches Texas next 7 days, and big part of the south 4 to 5 inches. So we gotta watch this closely too. 5 days and 7 days shows more. So please be careful. Still snow? Not really, just maybe on a single mountain, Wyoming there, but not really anything that crazy. And later, day 5, finger two in Wyoming, but like so little. And yeah, be careful in those areas. There's the extreme heat risk, southern Texas still. Today, Sunday, still Monday, extreme, some majors in Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, a few spots major. Tuesday, Wednesday, still extreme until Tuesday, and still some heat next week. Potentially later, like next Friday, a week from now, shows some more major in California and some moderate as far north as Washington. So be careful. Still, that heat does show the European model for this rain. It does show this trend next 5 days as well. Spots of the south close to like 5 inches from Texas all the way to Kentucky, 4 inches, like 4 to 5. Missouri even 7 inches. Spots of South Dakota showing some weird stuff too. North Carolina. So stay safe in those areas from flooding and everything. The GFS further south, but similar thing. The icon shows generally those areas shows a lot. So stay safe those areas. Be careful, some flooding. Southern coast of Alaska, still some very heavy rain, even up to 8 inches next 5 days in a few spots. But most of the things there are are snow. There will be rain, of course, as well. But in those mountains, there's southern Alaska to like some 73 inches of snow. But you can see the snow mainly in these mountains here, these islands near the coast. Nothing of snow, so that's mainly rain. So stay safe. And yeah, more snow, some southern spots of Alaska to 8 inches, 11 inches, and some more northern Alaska, few spots. So be careful. The European does show 5 days, some 3 inches in the Rockies, 4 inches, Wyoming and Idaho. Does show finger two in Utah, but this might change still. The GFS just a little bit in Colorado, Wyoming, into Utah. The icon does show some 5 days, especially in Wyoming. So be aware. Those areas, nothing too crazy. There's still British Columbia because of those systems, more than 22 centimeters of snow. Further north, even to like 99 centimeters, 100. So be careful. There into Yukon as well, southern Yukon, a lot of snow, and some spots of Quebec into Labrador, more than 11 centimeters. Some in Newfoundland, but like very little. The GFS a little bit in Newfoundland, more northern Quebec and Labrador, maybe a finger or two in Nunavut, but especially further north. So yeah, be careful, but especially there across the west, in British Columbia, and there's still those temperatures, like still cold, like northern Canada, not northeastern Canada, especially, but like those areas of western, northwestern Canada still cold, and does warm up a lot in the afternoon. A few spots Sunday, Monday, especially central Canada, west central, like does show like as high as like 26 degrees, a few days 29. It even shows like 30 degrees in Saskatchewan in a few spots Monday. Tuesday a little bit less, but still like this is next Thursday, much milder, like even kind of hot in a few spots. So yeah, and the European showing some insane things. This is next Friday to 34 degrees in Northwestern Territory. So this might be a weird day, but yeah, it's warming up fast. So be aware and enjoy because you have been cold for months. So yeah, be aware, and still some cold in the northeast and like northern western Canada. And still here, like across the southern US and those areas, still shows across Texas more than 100, even to like 102 today, even to like 103, and southern Texas too. The heat indices might be even higher. So be careful, they're still in Florida, and even 95 to 96, might be even higher in a few spots, so stay safe too. In the southwest, that shows slightly colder. The Rockies still a few days, and like the upper Midwest still slightly colder, but already warmer, close to 90 in Washington, close to 100, like more than 100 in Texas, in the southwest, in Florida, still those higher 90s. So be careful in those areas. And let's see, shows still during the night kind of some 30s, 20s in the Rockies, in the Sierra Nevada too. And this is alright, like Monday afternoons, some 90s in the south, in Texas, close to 100. Tuesday morning, still some cold in the Rockies, and throughout the Cascades, slightly colder, the Sierra Nevada, but still very warm in the south. Like next Tuesday afternoon, much of the country very warm, especially the southwest, and some 70s as far north as Maine. So yeah, be aware. There's next Wednesday, still slightly colder in the mountains, a few spots, and like Thursday, not Thursday, Wednesday afternoon, shows spots of the southwest more than 100, especially in that valley, very hot, and more spots close to 91 in Washington, and some 90s in the southeast as well. So be aware. Next Thursday morning does show slightly colder in the Central Rockies still, and some areas, but next Thursday afternoon, like 90% of the country above 70 degrees. Just the Rockies colder, spots of the Midwest and the Northeast, but like some 90s to 100 in the Southwest, 90s in Florida, Central California, and more spots still slightly cold in the mountains next Friday morning. But the end of next week might get very, very hot in parts of California. But there's still a week out, but just be aware of the trend. There are like still some gusty winds, a few spots California today, kind of breezy in a few spots, the northeast in the plains, but no crazy wind. So be aware those areas. And there's still like Sunday, those higher dew points across the south, those storms there, that does show like Cape still for Sunday afternoon, especially in Oklahoma, does show close to 5,000 again, 4,000 or something. So stay safe in those areas and be careful. Some storms further south still, a lot of storms throughout Mexico next 5 days, especially southern Mexico, south of Mexico City, and also like further north as well. But be aware, some storms in Mexico City as well. A few days in Guatemala still shows like into Panama, and still some very heavy rains in Nicaragua, especially like this week and into early next week, still shows a lot. So still be careful, some flooding, more in Honduras, a few other spots there, and already some more Dominican Republic, spots of Haiti. Nothing crazy, but like 21 millimeters. Puerto Rico, finger two. Mainly eastern, western Cuba. Central area slightly drier, but more in Jamaica. Some showers there too. Jamaica, especially in the eastern Caribbean, close to 21 centimeters. The GFS 17, the icon a little bit as well. So be aware, especially Trinidad and Tobago, more than 40 centimeters. A few spots in Barbados, some 7. So yeah, be aware those areas, as you can see here, like those heavier showers in Panama, Costa Rica, a few thunderstorms. There's central Mexico, especially next Tuesday, maybe spots of Mexico, Wednesday. So yeah, so be aware in those areas. There's still the dust later next week. There's already some dust especially in the southwest deserts in the US. But it does show like some thicker dust starting Sunday night into Monday. Already shows some Sunday afternoon. So especially Monday into Tuesday, be careful the air quality and the visibility, especially if you are sailing or something. So be careful, stay safe. This goes very deep into the Caribbean, as far as Honduras by Wednesday. So be careful. This dust might get thicker near South America later too. So be careful those areas. And here does show the Eastern Pacific still to 80% chance now of formation. Those areas, so an air low pressure is expected to form early next week, 700 miles south of the southern coast of Mexico. Conditions appear favorable for the development of the system. A tropical depression is likely to form around the middle of next week while moving westward, northwestward, 10 to 50 miles per hour. So be aware, spots of the Eastern Pacific. We will keep watching. There's no invest still, but there's a high chance of formation. So there's the GFS. This goes and it does turn this into a crazy hurricane, like to category 4 on the GFS. But I don't trust this. It keeps exaggerating forever. There's the European, and it does form a storm now, to like tropical storm or something, but I think it's 2 weeks still. Finally, I found 0Z that I didn't find yesterday. So this goes, and the European is still very weak, but it does form something. There's the Canadian model, shows like very like tropical storm to tropical depression, and it forms another one behind it to like a stronger tropical storm by the 31st. And both the Canadian and the GFS are going into Mexico later. So we'll keep watching, but just be aware in Mexico there's nothing heading to you right now, but this might try eventually. The icon gets very strong but stays out in the ocean there. So be aware in those areas. And there's here too like the tropical storm probabilities, the European model. It does show like those probabilities there now, and then by the middle of next week it does show to 40%, 50% later by next Friday. So that 50% area grows and then it goes there. So it does have a good chance of a tropical storm. Tropical cyclone, probably tropical depression, it already has a 60% by Tuesday, and then Wednesday shows all the way to 80%, and then it goes there. So we'll keep watching. Just be monitoring this if you are in Mexico in those areas. So there's the ensemble still. It does show those areas like Eastern Pacific. It does have a lot of support now. Like some members of the European are showing even those pings like to Cat 4 or something, but the European model itself just like barely a tropical storm on that model run there. But we'll keep watching. But this is a very good chance of something forming. The GFS is very scared. It goes closer to Mexico, but some go further out to sea as well. So we'll keep watching those areas. Just be aware if you are in spots of Mexico. Just keep watching, but nothing crazy. So yeah, be aware. The GFS does form this there, and it doesn't show a lot of shear near it, just further north, spots of Mexico, and then further north in the Pacific, more wind shear. But it does form in a somewhat favorable zone, and those reds showing there are shear from the storm itself. So this goes, it might be favorable in those areas. So be aware. And the sea surface temperatures, the Eastern Pacific, are very hot too. So be aware and stay safe, especially those severe storms and everything. The European model itself is showing some big things in Oklahoma too. So yeah, stay safe.